When the cameras stopped rolling on the Golden Bachelor and the lights finally dimmed on that unforgettable Season 2 finale, no one expected the whirlwind of emotion that followed. But here sit Mel Owens and Peg Munson, hand in hand, glowing with the kind of warmth that only comes from a love found later in life. Unexpected, unforced, and deeply earned. As they settle in across from Deidre Behar, their fingers intertwined like roots that have already begun to grow together, the magnitude of their journey finally sinks in. They've weathered heartbreak, doubt, fear, and the intense vulnerability of opening up on national television. Yet here they are, smiling, steady, and somehow even stronger than when America first met them. The conversation begins with congratulations, and as the applause fades, the couple looks at one another, almost in disbelief that this, their happily ever after, is now their shared reality. Mel laughs softly, squeezing Peg's hand as he reflects on the journey that brought them here. He admits it wasn't easy, not even close. Being vulnerable at this stage in life, and in front of millions on ABC, demands a kind of bravery most never tap into. But he beams as he says they finished the journey together, and that alone makes everything worth it. Peg nods, hopeful and excited, ready to write the next chapter of their love story with a pen neither of them expected to hold. From the very beginning, viewers were charmed by their chemistry, but few knew just how early Mel had fallen for Peg. He jokes about gripping her hand tightly now because, as he puts it, "I got my gal." When asked if she'll accept his final rose, Peg smiles the kind of smile that melts screens. "Of course I will," she says without hesitation. But the story of their bond didn't begin with a rose ceremony. It began during that unforgettable cheerleading date, one of the season's most chaotic yet heartwarming moments. Mel reveals that he actually had his eye on someone specific during that group challenge. Someone on the yellow team, someone whose energy and spirit immediately caught his attention. That someone, of course, was Peg, even though her team didn't win. Despite the noise, the cheers, and the glitter, his focus stayed on her. For him, she wasn't a contestant. She was a spark waiting to turn into a flame. He recalls the exact moment his crush solidified. Peg, dressed in a full bomb suit, transitioned to a beautiful dress moments later, and he found himself stunned that the vibrant, fearless woman in tactical gear was the same elegant woman in heels. He felt something shift inside him, and from then on, he admits, "I had a crush on her from that second." What sealed it wasn't just her beauty, but her personality, her energy, her spirit, her ability to uplift a room without even trying. When asked what qualities made him believe she could be someone he'd spend the rest of his life with, Mel lists them without hesitation. She's on his wavelength, his style, his rhythm. She's fun, always upbeat, always moving with joy, and that kind of energy isn't something you can fake. It's not just that she's beautiful, he says, it's her attitude, her personality. For him, she wasn't just a match, she was a revelation. For Peg, the journey to the show wasn't nearly as smooth. She had to be practically shoved into it by her best friend Elena, who has watched the Bachelor franchise religiously for 2 decades. At first, Peg refused. She wasn't going on national television. She wasn't opening her heart on camera. But after months of convincing and a surprise application submitted on her behalf, she found herself on the Golden Bachelor, unsure of what awaited her. She describes the process as one of the hardest things she's ever done, because this time, it wasn't just about physical endurance or personal milestones. This time, it was her heart on the line. She struggled with being vulnerable on camera, with constantly being surrounded by producers and contestants, with letting the world see her most fragile moments. But she knew she had to push through, to suspend judgment, especially judgment about Mel, whose podcast appearance had initially given her pause. She rides ATVs, unicycles, works in the police and fire world, and once belonged to the bomb squad. Her energy is off the chart, he says proudly. You can't fake that. Peg, glowing at his words, shares why she fell for him. She has repeated it many times and she says it again. Mel doesn't have integrity. He is integrity. He's honest, unwavering, true to his word. He knows who he is, and he never deviates from that. For her, that's life partner material. She wasn't looking for a fantasy. She wasn't looking for fireworks. She wanted someone real, someone steady, someone sustainable, and she found exactly that. She's open to whatever comes next, but she also knows good things take time. Mel, who was married for 25 years, agrees. He's not a man who jumps into big leaps. Especially after watching Teresa and Gary's massive golden wedding, he knows he wants to take his time. But he isn't opposed to the idea of cameras capturing their wedding someday, if it happens naturally. As they discuss last night's finale on ABC, including Cindy's emotional exit, both Mel and Peg show deep compassion. Peg describes Cindy as smart, beautiful, and honest about wanting marriage right now. And if that's her truth, then she deserves it. Their love just looked different, and there's no shame in that. Mel, on the other hand, admits he wasn't looking for closure. Cindy left because their paths didn't align. She wanted a marriage he wasn't ready to promise on the spot. He wasn't going to chase her. His connection with Peg, he says, was always stronger. Not a default choice, a genuine one. And Peg says she felt that truth early on. Though they didn't end the finale with an engagement, Mel did give Peg a diamond ring, a symbol of commitment, not a marital promise. For Peg, the ring feels surreal. She never expected to find such a connection. She came into the experience fully prepared to be chosen or not chosen, content either way. But what she found was something real, something slow burning, something sustainable. "I'm here for the long haul," she says. "I'm not into instant relationships." As they look toward the future, Peg laughs about being 62 and having already lived every chapter: marriage, motherhood, a home, careers, dogs, responsibilities. Now she wants to share the life she's built with someone she loves. They're not thinking about engagements or weddings, they're thinking about the journey, one day at a time. And they have the freedom to make their own rules. Her house in Las Vegas, his home in Orange County, and perhaps more homes in Europe, Rio, or Ann Arbor. At this age, it's not this or that, it's and. They choose joy, flexibility, and adventure. A blended family is already forming. Mel's boys adore Peg. She gives them advice, jokes with them, becomes the different type of role they didn't know they needed. Peg's daughter is thrilled, mostly because her mom will stop calling her 10 times a day. They laugh about it, but the truth is, both families feel at peace. As for the future of the franchise, both immediately agree on who deserves to become the first Golden Bachelorette: Debbie. At 65, she is authentic, real, kind, fiercely herself. America loves her, and they believe she deserves her own spotlight, her own journey, and yes, her own wedding dress. In the end, Mel Owens and Peg Munson are not in a rush. They are not checking boxes. They are not performing for television anymore. They are simply two people in their golden years who found something rare: connection, joy, laughter, and possibility. Not fireworks, but a fireplace. Not a fantasy, but a future.